Hello and welcome to Post Popcorn Picks, the podcast where we here at the Pierce College newspaper talk about the newest releases. And today we are talking about Pacific Rim Uprising. I am joined here with...
My name is Steven Gonzalez.
And I'm Damian Bamford, the host. And let's get right into this movie, shall we?
Yeah, let's go ahead and crack this wide open in all of its glory, he says sarcastically.
So we're going to start out with like a little 5 to 10 minute kind of breakdown of our thoughts on the movie that are spoiler free, and then we'll kind of give it a rating, and then we will go right into like doing a little plot synopsis, which we're just gonna kind of do improvisationally and have fun with, and it'll be a fun time for everybody involved. So starting with the cast, let's take a look at some people here. John Boyega,
Finn.
America's sweetheart. He's not American, though. He's English. Yeah, it's Finn.
Didn't know that till saw him in this movie. Like, it's so funny how you get actors like him and Daisy Ridley that can project their voice and just sound totally normal, and you watch them in, like, Star Wars, and then you see them in here, and he's like, hello, I'm in this new movie, Pacific Rim, and I was like, whoa! Didn't just caught off guard, man.
John Boyega has played a character named Finn, and he's played a character named Jake. Because his name in this is Jake Pentecost. So he is like Adventure Time all by himself.
That's right. Next character, Marceline, calling it now.
Next is Scott Eastwood as Nate Lambert. That's Clint Eastwood's son.
Is that really?
Yeah.
That actually makes a lot of sense, because I was looking at him like, dude, you look so squinty. Like, how do I recognize that? That's Squint.
And then you got Amara Namani, which is like a Mass Effect name.
I thought when I saw it, I was like, you seem too spacey for this movie. You need to dial it back. You're like too far to Elysium. We need you to take it back a bit. You know?
Charlie Day is in this movie too.
Oh my God,
He's
Charlie Day
great.
is the highlight of anything he's in to me. Like, just to have him back in this, I was like, awesome. I'm ready to sit through this just for Charlie Day again. And for him to non-spoilery get as big of a part as he did in this movie, I was like, awesome. I was sold just off of that.
John Boyega, I think, did a really good job in this movie.
Yeah, you know, like, I was trying to be critical about him, because I was like, well, this is his natural dialect, like, accent now, so, like, it's probably easier for him than doing Finn. But I was like, you know what, though? Finn is such a I don't want to say boring, such a structured character. He barely says anything in the first Star Wars, and the second one he's kind of... But this one, he had to lead the whole movie, really. And Jake was much more emphatic, and he was charismatic, and he was more outgoing. And I think John Boyega did a really good job evoking that, you know. He
had a lot of lines where I felt like if they were said by any other actor, they wouldn't have landed. But because he said them, they landed.
Yeah, there was some serious cheesiness in this movie. Serious cheese. And he delivered it in a way that made it okay, you know?
I think I realized the source of the cheese in this movie is that I think that this is just an anime taken to live action.
You know, like...
It really feels like it.
It's not, we're not quite at that level. They're not doing that thing where they say people's names dramatically. It wasn't like Jake and just like the close-up.
Not quite
but
there yet.
They were narrating things that didn't have to be narrated. They were saying things that we could have, as the audience, understood. Movies nowadays are so quick to just assume we're all blithering idiots, and they just feel like they have to tell us everything. And they're like, we are up against impossible odds. And I was like, yeah, I already got that. Like, I gathered that as a viewer. You didn't have to explain that to me. And it was riddled with cliches, and it kind of detracted from the whole experience to me. But when you got actors like John Boyega doing his thing, it makes the transition a little easier. It's like a root canal, but if you were getting a massage on the side, it's like, not so bad. Okay.
So what do you think of Amara Namani? She was a younger character.
Yeah, I actually liked her. Like, I didn't want to, because she was one of those cliches. I am a newcomer.
Yeah.
I'm thrown into this.
I'm the scrappy kid.
You know what it felt a lot like in a weird way? Hero from Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
It felt a lot like, I am a scrappy person. I shouldn't know what I know, but I do know what I know. I'm kind of gifted, and I'm
an expert in building giant robots,
you know,
for some reason.
like for no reason whatsoever. He's like, you built a scrappa. And she's like, yeah, I did.
How?
Can I get a little more detail on that? No? Okay, she's just joining the military. Okay, fine.
We also have like a return of Meiko Mori, played by Rinko Kikuchi. So Liu Wenxiao, who's the head of a corporation in the movie, played by, I think, a pretty famous Chinese actress.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were trying to sell it off the fact that she is famous. Because, like, she's, like, one of the first names if you were to, like, Google Pacific Rim cast.
Right.
And I did that before watching the movie so I could get an idea of who's going to be involved. And then I saw her, and she comes, like, kind of late into the movie, and then she's not around as, like, she's not as prevalent as, like, the lineup led me to believe.
Yeah.
It's like on a Netflix film where they, like, the first name is always the most important character, and they might not even be, like, that prevalent to the movie. And I was like, I thought you were going to be more than what you were. Misleading.
You know why I think we were misled? It was because it puts Chinese people in the seats, because they really... this kind of summer blockbuster movie kills it in China. It made $23 million opening weekend in China.
Wow.
It's pretty good.
That's really good for what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine a movie like Pacific Rim Uprising is the cheapest film to make.
No.
There's a lot of CGI in there.
I believe it has a budget of $150 million, so they have kind of a ways to go.
Yeah, they got to work their way back.
Yeah.
Before they can even start turning a profit. But I mean, I think if her sole purpose was to put Chinese butts in seats, then she did her job.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I alone was curious of her in here. I was like, oh, why is she in the movie then? She must have a prevalent role. And even though she didn't, you got my money. So.
Well, I mean, we did have to watch the movie so we could do this podcast, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I probably would have watched it anyway. This movie is a good movie for friends, for gathering together. You know, you sit around, you drink a beer. If you're me, you sneak one into the movie theater. You just kind of do what you can.
Did you enjoy the action sequences in this movie? Did they top Pacific Rim 1, or did they come short?
I hate to be a cliche guy, but oh my god, I'm a sucker for explosions and giant robots and alien battles, and it was everything my childlike wonder wanted. But I can't help but feel like the first one did it so much better.
They did.
Like it was so much cooler in a lot of respects. This one tried to do a little more storytelling, which I applaud, but I came for the giant robot fights.
Yeah, exactly.
Do not like don't try to act like you're not what you are. You are a movie with giant robot fights as like the selling point. So give me the giant robot fights.
Exactly.
Let's not pussyfoot around. Let's just go right into the sword from the first one. That was like super awesome. There was nothing quite as eye-catching this time around. With me.
The sword in the first one's like a shocker moment. Like,
Yeah.
what? They
I
had
was
that the
like,
whole
what?
time?
I'm not saying give Finn a lightsaber for his giant robot. All I'm saying is something like that would have been cool. You know,
They do have swords at one point in the movie.
Yeah, but it didn't have the same like
Yeah.
shock. Like when they did it in the first movie, it was like you said, it was very eye-catching because it was like an because they were like, weren't they being like held down or something?
No,
And
they were
had to-
being dragged up into high in the sky by a flying kaiju.
Yeah, and they're like, we gotta do something. They're like,
It's
oh,
like,
man,
oh,
I
wait,
remember, I
hold
have a
on.
sword, and then just bam, and it was awesome. This time it was just like, all right, guys, use the swords, and I was like, try to sell it a little bit.
He pulls out the sword, enemy pulls out two swords.
It
It's
was-
actually a moment that's played for kind of a laugh in the movie.
It reminded me of the original, was it the original or second? The Ninja Turtles movie,
Yeah.
where Mikey and the Foot Clan Soldier have the nunchaku contest, and they're like doing all the moves and stuff, and then they just get bored. It reminded me of that, only Ninja Turtles did it better. But jokes aside, I still laughed, so
Okay.
you had me.
If you had to take a look at this movie and rate it from 1 to 10, whereabouts on your scale would you put it? And I want to put into the ether here that it's not based on like a school grading system where if you get a C, then it's like, that's bad or whatever. 50% is like, I would watch a movie that has 50%.
Yeah, I mean,
that has 5 out of 10.
I gotta say before I say anything, that I think ratings nowadays are way too lenient. I think nothing goes under a 7 on like IGN or something
Yeah.
because they want you to see it regardless. So I'm gonna
Just
give
like
it what might be a crushing number, but it is under the understanding that my numbers are all going to be into play.
Mm-hmm.
So I would give this movie probably 4 out of 10. And that's not saying like it's a bad movie, because I would still see a 4 out of 10 if I was at a friend's house and we were combing through the channels and a 4 out of 10 hit the TV. I'd watch it. Would I pay to see it again? Probably not.
No.
No. Let's just no.
I'm going to go ahead and give it a 5 out of 10. I would recommend this to anybody who really liked the first one, but if you're just looking for a good movie, look somewhere else. It's kind of like how the Warcraft movie was really fun if you spent 12 years playing World of Warcraft. Not substandard, but not done any way particularly well. So now that we've gotten kind of that little discussion of the movie out of the way, we can now go into the plot synopsis. So let's do a quick run through of the plot of the movie. Let's not take too long on it because, I mean, the plot's pretty simple and straightforward. It's not, there are no intricacies here.
There's no Da Vinci Code to be found here.
Yeah.
It's all pretty in your face.
Mm-hmm. So the movie starts out, and it takes place 10 years right after the end of Pacific Rim 1, after the world has been saved from the invasion of the kaiju, the giant alien monsters from under the sea, sent by people they call in this movie the precursors. John Boyega is a criminal hanging out in California, and he's like a scavenger. And he is helping these dudes steal some stuff, and then he runs into a girl who is like a Jaeger mechanic, and she's built her own Jaeger. And then the two get arrested by the Jaeger police and taken into custody, and then become Jaeger pilots. That's the whole prologue of the movie, I guess.
Because, that's how life works. They get arrested, and she's like, you're out of options, Jake. You don't get to, walk away from this one. Okay, seeks jail time. No, instead, you're serving in the military. Not even as, like, a grunt or anything, or a pilot. No, you're going to be a teacher, a molder of minds. Because clearly you have your life figured out.
You're going to be an officer in charge of one of the deadliest pieces of machinery ever made after you just committed a crime.
Come on.
Where you're, like, known for violent crime.
Not to mention, up until that point, the guys he's working with even mentioned that he's made it his mission to rip everyone off and screw everyone over. And then they put him in a position where he's in charge of people.
But put him back into the military because his sister said so. Nepotism.
That's going to work out. Good idea. Good idea, Pacific Rim people.
And then what's the next part of the movie?
We get introduced to pretty much all the other side characters and supporting cast we're going to be dealing with. John Boyega meets up with Lambert, who's all, we used to be friends, but we're not anymore. And we're all like, yeah, but you guys are going to work out your differences because that's how these movies go. And, at first they do the whole clash where it's like, I don't like the way you do things. And he's like, well, I don't want to be here, so we're just going to have to deal with it.
There's like a hot girl involved, too, to cause tension between the two of them.
Oh, who's she
And she likes them both in the movie.
Who's she going to choose? And then our little scrapper friend gets dropped into a crew of people that had to work to be where they are, and they don't like her. And see, here's the thing. The movie wants us to feel for our little scrapper. Like, oh, that's not fair. You guys don't even know. But I don't, because they did have to work to get there, and she just got dropped in. How's that fair? And it's the whole, you're a newcomer. We don't trust you, but we already know you are.
Exactly.
You're not fooling anyone with this whole song and dance that we've heard thousands of times before.
So she gets into the dorms, and there's that one Russian girl who really hates her for no reason.
Yeah, she's just like, I'm your antagonist.
I'm your antagonist because I'm jealous.
Be ready for that.
And then you meet all the other cadets, and they're just kind of
forgettable
characters. Forgettable. Yeah.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you their names right now.
Couldn't. There was the blonde Russian girl with short hair, and then some Asian people.
Yeah, there was. I really want, I'm trying.
Yeah, it's hard. Oh, there was the dude who.
There was one who was really excited by John Boyega. He was like us. He was very excited John Boyega was in the movie, and he was like, John Boyega. And of course, he was like, Jake Pentecost. And they were like, oh my God, he's a Pentecost. We're getting taught by him. And she's like, and the other chick's like, yeah, but he's not like his father, so It's
exposition, I guess.
Cool.
It's kind of lets you know, like, that's what young people think of John Boyega's
that fluid
character.
Exposition where characters say things and it naturally happens. Oh my God, I am very ecstatic that person is here.
Oh my God, that one part
so natural.
This is a little bit of a backtrack. When they first get to the base and the girl is pointing out all the Jaegers, she's like, oh, it's Scrimble Wimble, and it's a red dude, and she's excited about all of them. And it's just like, oh, so they're introducing us to the Jaegers now.
There's Glip Glop my flip flop. Okay, I'll be on the lookout for him. Now I know. It's just exposition's hard, I get that, but there's a natural way to ingratiate it into the film, and that was not it. That was like a 5 to 10 minute slogfest of just, okay, these guys, remember them, they're gonna be important, you know.
Exactly. So then I'm missing a big chunk of the movie here. There's also the introduction of this corporation called the Shao Corporation. And it turns out that Charlie Day's character from the last movie, Newton, is working for them. He's like their chief scientist, and he's like drones. They're running a drone program for this organization, and he's doing some secret stuff behind the scenes that we kind of get to see in a scene where he goes to his apartment by himself. We see a little alien brain in a tub and a sign on it that says Alice. So he's been like connecting with this kaiju brain for a while, but it doesn't really let you know anything about him.
It's all very eyebrow raisy.
Yeah.
You know, like, what's Charlie
It's
doing?
a little concerning.
And I was, at this point, I was pretty enthralled because I'm a huge It's Always Sunny fan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a huge Charlie Day fan. And I was glad that he was back in this movie. And when they started focusing on him, I was like, ooh, someone might have an important role in this film. And not to jump too far ahead, but I was very excited with the direction we go with Charlie's eyebrow raise. But yeah, at this point, I was kind of all into the movie.
I was excited.
You know,
at this point.
I was all in. They definitely sold me on this. They took a minute to get us there, you know, especially with the whole meet the recruits that you're never going to remember.
Right.
Trying to make us care about them. And they brought Charlie into the mix with his shadow corporation. And I was interested. My interest was piqued. Which, you know, good for them.
So we went to Australia. They were doing, what was it, like a military? It wasn't a military parade. There were a bunch of protesters, and then they dropped in the gypsy mech.
Yeah.
Gypsy Avenger. Which
I would say to probably be like, you know, dispersed, but also look at how cool I am. Like it was.
And then
That's like that just seems like a bad. They're protesting the mech, so why would you present?
It's a military might thing. I think it's supposed to be that, from what I gathered from the movie, there's this organization called the Pan-Pacific Defense Corps. I think.
Probably.
Something like that.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. And they seem kind of authoritarian in the way that they handle things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, you know, shoot the shots. Everybody back off. I don't know. Like I get it. And for the movie, I think it actually did a good job for the actual confines of the movie. But like if we're like sitting in their world, in their logic, and we've you know held back our suspension of disbelief, I'm just like, that's probably not how I would have went about doing that.
No.
You're definitely going to cause a disruption from that. And even on their side of things, they probably don't want that. Military might's one thing, but you want to stay in the good graces of people's opinion too, you know?
Well, yeah. It depends on who's in charge. Some people just want to bang the drum until everybody fears them, not just their own people, I guess.
Yeah, those people don't stay in charge for long.
Yeah,
You'd
they
think
don't.
you would know that.
So while they're hanging out in Sydney, a dark gray and orange movie colored mech comes out of the water and starts fighting, and he's so much faster, and he's like taller, and
He's just better.
He's just
better
cooler
looking.
looking.
He's the
Yeah.
one that your girlfriend looks at when you guys walk by, and you're like, hey, you know, I'm a giant robot too.
Exactly. And he comes and he just beats the crap out of Gypsy Avenger, and then the other Jaegers show up, and he leaves. And they're like, "Ooh, where did that mech come from?" And a helicopter falls out of the sky, and it's Mako, which is John Boyega's sister from the first movie.
Yeah.
She dies in this scene.
Wow, rip
yeah.
that Band-Aid off.
The helicopter's going down, and he tries to catch it, but he doesn't catch it, and it falls to the ground, which is contrasted later in the finale of the movie. Spoilers, I guess, for a spoiler podcast.
It was all very cute.
Yeah. So they're really upset. Then we go back to the Jaeger base, and they're activating the drone Jaegers. And then we see Charlie Day. His plan is kind of revealed because he's behind it all, and all the drone Jaegers have alien brains in them.
Surprise. I just wanted to slow clap in the theater. Like, I couldn't shake my mind off of like how an It's Always Sunny episode starts with the title and it does like plays the music. All I could think of was like Charlie takes over the world.
I know.
And just quick side note, backtracking a bit to when our mysterious Jaeger shows up and kicks the crap out of Gypsy and everything. You would think in a world with giant robots, there's probably not that many. They're probably all chipped or licensed. They're easy to track.
Pretty recognizable, too.
How can they be like, who's this giant robot that came out of nowhere? They should be able to be like, oh, I just pulled up the specs. Like, this isn't just some I don't know. I would think if giant robots are walking around, we're probably keeping a tight grip on who's piloting these giant robots.
I guess it was, there was kind of that factory that Mako, we skipped this part. It wasn't that important. There was this factory that Mako sent them to. I think that's where they were implying that this was happening. because it turns out because he fights a guy in Siberia. He fights the big dark gray dude, and then rips off the guy's face, and it's got an alien brain.
Yeah, and they're all like, whoa, and
whoa,
yeah, okay, but even before that, like giant, like he just rises out of the water like he was there, ready, waiting, planned. Yep. You would think like even in today's age, I can't fly a personal jet in a certain area because there's restricted airspace. You would think they would be like, hey, robots not allowed to be here. Make communication. It's not communicating. How did that thing just stay? It's just cloaked. Like
where were the people in the water watching for these things? Like surely they have giant monster sensors and they have track on every Jaeger moving through the water as it causes like tidal effects.
I'm telling you, we've got giant monsters just shooting out of the water randomly because it's not like they're like every 10 years the kaiju should know this happens out of nowhere always. We don't have people on the ready. Like even after everything got solved 10 years ago and the kaiju were taken care of, did nobody think they were going to come back?
Yeah. They opened up a rift mysteriously in the ocean and they just thought, they can't do that anymore.
Nope. That was the only time that's happening. They only get one, boys and girls. They only get one.
We set off a bomb inside the portal, so that must mean all of them are dead.
That's it. We
did
it.
This alien race with the capacity to travel between worlds instantly.
Nah, they had to have messed that up. That was clearly a MacGuffin, boys and girls. We're good. We're safe. But yeah, so Charlie's behind everything.
I
was ecstatic.
Yeah, I was
didn't
happy
even
too.
care. I was just like, oh, this is great.
He just became a villain immediately. He went to his friend Gottlieb, who's the kind of frail, sickly-looking scientist, and he's like, I feel like.
Did they ever like discuss that? He always looked like he had like an illness.
Yeah, I think in the Drift in the first movie, you see that he's like getting made fun of in school, and he's on crutches and stuff. I think he's just, like
sickly.
I feel like there should have been more of a payoff between finding out Charlie is the bad guy and Gottlieb being upset about it, because they were friends.
I was so excited about Charlie getting this random plot twist that I didn't even stop and really think about it till after the movie had ended, and I was thinking back on it. The thing felt really rushed. It felt like they were trying to get all this together there, and it was like their last thought, and they're like, well, how are we doing this? Oh, Newton's the bad guy, by the way. Bam. And so they didn't work too hard. And it's a shame because this really could have been a bigger moment if they'd played it off right. They should have played off of their friendship. They should have, I don't know, like when Charlie first turns around and he's like, what are you doing? And he was like, what did he say, like ending the world or something like that? I didn't believe him, like, because it just came out of nowhere. So I was like, what? What are you doing? And then when they came back and he started monologuing, I was like, oh, they're really pulling the trigger on this. He's the bad guy. I think when your bad guy decides to be bad and the audience is unsure, you've done something wrong. I was like, what are we doing here?
It was a little confusing. So they blew Skidoo to Tokyo, and Charlie Day is now standing on top of a rooftop, and the Jaeger pilots have all found out together as a group, hey, it turns out we never noticed this before. Every single monster that's come out of the ocean is trying to get to Mount Fuji. Even though for some reason, why were they attacking Sydney?
Didn't they attack in the first one for years?
Yeah, they did. I guess the idea is they were always trying to get to a volcano, which means, hey, they might have gone through like Tacoma and Fife and stuff. That's pretty cool. But
that's why I-5's always so cluttered.
that's the reason. I guess we're always trying to get to a volcano, but in classic giant monster movie style, they tried to go to Mount Fuji and they had to stomp through Tokyo, which was cool because we got to go to Tokyo in a kaiju movie.
It was a cool little throwback, a cool little kaiju throwback.
Very classical.
I wanted some people pointing and screaming and running, and for the lack of originality, I got it, and I was happy.
You got exactly that. Charlie Day is standing on the rooftop, and he has ordered his drones to open all of the rifts in the world, like several rifts around the world, and then some kaiju got through and they all converged on one central point, which was Tokyo. So he's hanging out there, and the kaiju are stomping around the city, and then the Jaeger show up to save everyone. Also, all the people in the city were put in these underground like bunker things, which had it was kind of like a cork that screwed into the ground. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, that actually was kind of cool.
I thought it was cool.
By the way, we're missing out on
what are we missing?
Jake's inspiring speech to the troops and stuff.
He does an Independence Day speech.
It was so great in that I could have probably found like 5 movies it was ripped from.
Oh yeah.
And like you said earlier, if there was anyone else giving these lines, I probably would have just been so disgusted. It was just so cliched, those other people that saved the day were heroes and we're not, but they didn't start out that way. And this is our chance to achieve greatness, so grab the brass ring and do all that. And I was just like, oh, come on, man. I get speeches nowadays they're kind of like a dying thing in movies, and maybe for a good reason.
Yeah, well,
maybe they just need some time off, to get home to their family and
what
relax.
can you say that hasn't already been said a billion times in a billion movies?
Yeah, and just like they never gave us. They did this thing. They introduced Jake and Amara.
Yeah.
Yeah, they introduced them to us, threw them in the military, and they introduced us to all these other characters, and they expected us to care about them, but they didn't give us any time to. And then they gave us this speech where just like, people might die, so be ready. But the thing is, without any chance to really attach ourselves to these characters or care about them, I'm not too concerned who lives or who dies.
Yep.
Honestly, I just kind of want to see what Charlie Day is going to do. And they're giving us this speech, and I'm sure the director's like, all right, and here's the moment, where things are on the line. You're not sure who's coming back, but I don't care who's coming back.
One of the teenagers died.
I mean,
that was it.
Do we even know who it was?
No.
Can we call them by name?
I think it was the dude. It was the teenager they focused most upon throughout the movie with jokes, saying that his dad was like a plastic surgeon. It was that guy who died. The guy who was the boob joke throughout the movie.
Which is kind of worse.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, that guy suffered enough, and then you killed him.
And then you killed him. Charlie Day summons all these little things from the Shao building, which he's standing on, that sew all of the kaiju together into one big kaiju, and then it's just a giant monster fight.
I don't know how that works, but I was in it.
It was cool.
I was like, okay.
No, it was a cool finale.
At that point, they were just doing anything, and I was just nodding, like, yep, all right, we're doing that too.
They get down to one last Jaeger, and then it's like, oh no, they get their butt kicked, and now they're stuck in the city, and the kaiju is now running up the side of the mountain because it's jumping in the volcano. Because I guess in this movie, if they jump in the volcano, they'll detonate and set off the Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
That's the idea behind it. They actually used the concept of the geological Pacific Rim in this movie.
Yeah, no, I like that whole concept of like the kaiju gets the volcano, it sets off the Pacific, and like, I thought that was cool. I thought that they could have. I don't know. That was one of the few things I think they should have spent a little more time on, like talking about, because that to me was a really cool part. And maybe, I'm like 23 years old, but I have like the soul of an 80-year-old, and maybe I'm not into everything the kids are into. But I think the science behind that would have been really cool to get a little bit more discussion in. But they were just like. It all felt very video game.
Yeah.
It's like, if he gets to the volcano, that's game over, and we'll have to reload our save file. And
no, just like, objective yourself into the objective, and it's over. Yeah. So they eventually scrap a robot that the little girl builds at the beginning of the movie, comes back. It's piloted by the CEO of the Shao Industries Corporation, because she's a good guy. She was never a bad guy. She had the wool pulled over her eyes by Charlie Day. She comes in the tiny robot and welds a rocket to Gypsy Avenger's hand. The rocket takes them up to the top of the volcano, and they like land on the kaiju and split them in half. That's the end of the movie. They cheer, they laugh, and it's like. It was weird how they were like, we did it, and then cut to immediately, like, Charlie Day's like, we'll never stop, and it's like, we don't care.
There was definitely just a lack of conclusion there.
It's like, oh, that was an ending?
When it happened, I thought something was wrong. I looked up at the projector, and I was like, is that the next scene, really?
There was no falling action. The end of the movie just happens, and then it's over. It was like,
climax, boop. Roll credits. I was like, okay.
Climax. Oh, we'll get you next time.
It did. It felt very Saturday morning cartoon.
Exactly.
Where Charlie was like, "You'll never stop us. We'll always come back." And then, ooh, will there be a Pacific Rim 3?
That's an interesting point you just made. It's very Saturday morning cartoony. Do you think that's what they were exactly trying to go for?
I don't want to give them too much credit and say, I want to assume that that's not what they wanted. But if it is what they wanted, then it's kind of not only working for them, but it's cool because this whole thing feels Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah.
Like we're going to solve our problems with giant robots and explosions and it feels like something I could be like eating a bowl of cereal to in the morning.
Exactly.
And just like throw some colors, make it G.I. Joe-ish, and bam, we've got it.
And that's why I'm not afraid of... Well, that's why I'm okay with these movies being not... amazing. I think it would be kind of hard to make a Pacific Rim movie with over a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's weird because like something like that would probably not focus on the giant robots.
No.
Is the thing. It's hard to make a movie have
About
it focus
giant
on
robots.
giant robots and be like, "Yup, that's the one. That's Academy Award winning."
Yeah. It would be the first one got a 71%. This one got a 46. It was pretty low.
Well, the first Pacific Rim came at a time where we didn't have anything like it anymore.
That's
and,
true.
Like, these movies are really good in small
we had
quantity.
Transformers.
Yeah, but Transformers I think was playing less off of the bombastic nature and more off of the nostalgia of Transformers. And we have a lot of movies that do that.
Right.
You know, we like every other day we've got Trolls and Smurfs and just everything is trying to remind us of what it was like to be a kid.
In the 80s specifically.
Yeah. And this movie was like doing it too, but not so much like remember this show. It was more like remember the excitement of being a child, of like when everything was on the line every episode, every Saturday, and yet everything got wrapped up by the time you finished your bowl of cereal. And it kind of felt like that because like everything was on the line, and if they get to the volcano, it's all over. And then they just saved the day, and I'm drinking the milk out of my bowl, and it's all okay again. Which again, if that was their intention, then bravo. But I can't help but feel like they kind of stumbled into that.
Yeah. Well, that was a pretty good summation at the end there. I think we'll go ahead and end the podcast here. So thank you for listening. If you stuck around for this long, we would definitely want to start doing these more often because Steven likes talking about movies and stuff.
I just like talking, so here I am.
It's hard to wrangle enough people in this office to want to do a podcast, and now I've got somebody else who's talkative. So hey, cool. So thanks so much for listening. See you next time. Bye.